afternoon and welcome to the first episode of Stamp Chronicles 2024. It is our privilege to introduce our distinguished guest for today, Chathil Dharamawardena. He was the former chairman of the Philatelic Club of Royal College in the year 2022 as well as the Royal College Buddhist Brotherhood in the year 2021. Additionally, he recently completed his tenure as the Senior Deputy Head Prefect of Royal College. With such a remarkable history and significant contribution to both Royal College and the Philatelic Club, Chathil's presence here is indeed an honor. Without further ado, let us dive into some intriguing questions submitted by our club members, eager to get insight from Chathil's extensive experience and knowledge. So, what sparked your interest in Philately and how do you get started?
Good afternoon to the viewers. Thank you, Jiten, for the lovely introduction. So first up, stepping into the question that you asked, the interest with regard to Philately, it brings my memory back to 2010, where I started collecting stamps, and during that time I was introduced to the hobby of Philately by my parents, but they didn't have any collection. So normally the hobby of Philately has been passed down through generations, but whereas in my situation I started collecting when I was small. So with that, year by year I gained the interest of collecting stamps. So getting into the details, like getting to what the story behind each stamp is, as well as so that was when I was in grade 2. So later on in grade 3 I got to know about the Philatelic Club of Royal College, and then after that only my interests began to develop. So, yeah.
Well, that is certainly a very interesting story right there. I am certain many of our junior philatelists and past philatelists can relate to that story. So proceeding to the next question, what have you learned through Philately that you might have not learned otherwise?
So the knowledge on Philately, or rather the field of Philately, is kind of like a array field which you can get to know about each and every detail of the stamp as well as the story behind the stamp when it comes to the designing of the stamp specifically. So I myself also had the privilege of designing one stamp for college with regard to the Bradley Shield. So during that process I got to know many details about what goes into a stamp, whether it's the design, and the design should be appropriate to a stamp, with the perforations and the size and the history that goes behind it. It's quite inquisitive. So that knowledge cannot be learned from anywhere else. It is a knowledge of both the social affairs as well as the knowledge of designing part of it. So when it comes to a stamp, the stamp itself carries a significant value of the picture that it holds. It has a story that goes behind many generations. So for an example, if we take a stamp of either the Big Ben of London or the Paris Eiffel Tower, it has a specific story to it, like the story of building the Eiffel Tower in Paris as well as the story of building the Big Ben. So the knowledge that goes into the stamp cannot be expressed in words. In order to get to know of the knowledge, you should be a collector, that you know of everything, the perforations, the size, the currency value, as well as the historical value of that specific picture that goes into the stamp. And also getting to know about the subject of Philately is kind of a experience that you get to refresh every day. Every day, day by day, when you are collecting stamps, when you get to know about stamps, you get to refresh your memory, and you get to expand your knowledge on Philately. For an example, 5 to 7 years back, I got to know that stamps were made in silk, from the fabric silk in China, and I got the privilege of having a collection of those. So stamps is not being designated to be used by a specific material. It can be either printed in a fabric or elsewhere. So basically stamp is what makes the art of Philately happen, like to be in reality.
So well, that surely shows this Philately is not just about stamps, and stamps is just
Yeah,
not
adding
a
to that
piece of-
also, the subject of philately is not just about stamps. It's about first day covers, collecting of first day covers, coins, miniature sheets, as well as souvenir sheets. So everything adds to the knowledge of philately or subject of philately.
So that's a very intriguing answer. Thank you for that. Aside from Philately as a distinguished royalist, how could you describe your time at Royal College from the year 2009 to 2023?
Well, it's I don't know how to express it in words, but it's kind of like a lifetime experience. From 29 to 2023, for 15 odd years, I was at this specific college at Reed Avenue, where I learned my life, I would say. So from the start to the end, I walked in myself as a boy, and I'm certain that when I was going out, I walked to face the society as a prepared gentleman. So in that case, whether it's learning about leadership skills, about your education, being handling with your friends and your colleagues, it's a lifetime experience. The memories I had, I will cherish them forever my life. And also the experiences I gained by working in different clubs, societies, as well as during my prefectship year, when it comes to the head of the state or to the non-academic staff member of the college itself. I had the privilege to have a moment with them, to learn about the society. So it's kind of like a learning of an encyclopedia, I would say. So yeah.
I'm sure that we could continue talking about this topic for days on end, but unfortunately due to time restrictions, let's discuss about something that I'm sure would be a memory for a lifetime for you. What were your thoughts and feelings after winning the prestigious Panchalingam Shield?
So the AW Panchalingam Shield, I won it in 2017 when I was a junior prefect. So during that year, as normally, so the members of the Philatelic Club knows that every year we have to do exhibition known as the Philex exhibition, which happens to be the South Asia's oldest philatelic exhibition. So during that specific year, we were given many topics for us to choose and do an exhibit. But that year I went ahead, I can remember I went ahead with the topic of transportation. But in the transportation itself, I wanted to do something unique, that I wanted to present a story within the exhibit itself. So I went ahead with the topic of trains, also known as rolling stocks. So during that, before preparing the exhibit itself, I got some books down which has the knowledge or the topic about trains in Sri Lanka. So when I was going through, I just came through the word rolling stocks, and my exhibit captured the word the rolling stock. So because of that, it captured the panel of judges, and the unique story behind it was I managed to do the exhibit in a kind of different way, unique way than the others, in order to stand out. That I managed to find the railways that were used in the past, the present, as well as the railways that will be used in the future. So with the use of that, I managed to win the Panchalingam Shield, but I didn't do the exhibit in order to win it. At the day of the final day of the exhibition only, I got to know that I won the Panchalingam Shield, which was quite of an unexpected situation. But I cherish that to this date. Because of that only, I was managed to get a lot of things in my way because of winning, because they got to know that I have a special knowledge about philately. So then with that only, I managed to get into the junior committee of the Philatelic Club, and so on. That led to my path of becoming the champ.
It is undoubtedly an experience only a handful of lucky members in our club would have been able to experience. So alongside that question, how was your experience in the Philatelic club for about roughly 9 to 10 years?
Yeah, so during that time I joined in 2012. So from 2012 up until to 2022, span of a decade, I must say I had many memories. So during those years we used to have the meetings every Thursday at 1:30 at behind Navarangala. So during those days our chairman was Shami Lakbaraya, then Senit Tabenayaka. So during those days even we used to hang around with them and get to know about the world of Philately, and they also used to help us with the topic, and with that every year we are being prepared for the Philex exhibition. Normally the exhibition is taking place in October, and from July, August during the summer holidays we used to prepare for those. And also I can remember the community service projects we had. We had the cancer project, and then after that we had the first day cover celebration for the Battle of the Blues every year. So during those projects we used to associate them and get to know and interact with them with regard to the matters of the Philately club. As well as I can remember we used to have special competitions with regard to Philately, which widen our knowledge. We used to do presentations, stamp designing competitions, as well as some quizzes and all. So it ensured that we widen our knowledge and we were up to date with the subject of Philately. And also during the latter period of time I was involved with the junior committee, and I got the opportunity to get involved with the senior committee to do projects. So I was during the initial years I was given the responsibility of organizing a field trip to the Stamp Museum, the Philatelic Bureau, as well as the Coin Museum. So during those periods I used to interact with the members as well. So getting their participation was a key responsibility for me in order to make the project a success. So with those in hand, I think my experience with Philately Club was kind of like an exceptional, because in the wide array or the wide avenue of clubs and societies at Royal College, I was first involved and I was first introduced to that arena because of the Philately Club. So yeah.
Well, that is a fascinating answer to say the least. So this is a very interesting question for me personally even. How did you manage your advanced year studies and the chairmanship of the Philatelic Club both at the same time?
It's also a very hard question for me to put in words, because Jiten, you were also there when I was the chairman. So during those periods, those times, mainly my focus was the club, because a whole lot of responsibility was put on my shoulders, because the stake of the Philately Club was on me. So I made sure that I did my level best in order to bring it to higher standards. And the previous year also I was the chairman of another club. So during those 2021, 2022 was kind of a very hectic time period, because I had to manage 2 clubs in 2 years and the transition period as well. So during those times my main focus was on the 2 clubs, because I had a lot of responsibility and a lot of people were looking at me in order for the club to be in a good place. But nevertheless I managed to do my academics as well. I actually don't know how I managed that, because normally from 6 to, when I come to school at 6, I usually leave school, college back at around 4 or 5, and then after only I used to attend my private tuition classes and do my look into my academics. So during the day, I used to focus on the activities with regard to the clubs in order to make sure that things are running smoothly with regard to projects, because during both years I managed to do like 15 to 20 projects each for a club year, spanning as like major projects as well as minor projects. So during those time, I don't know how I managed it, but somehow I was able to get through it. So my advice to the viewers here, that who have the potential in order to be office bearers in the clubs, make sure that you manage both somehow. It's important that the life skills that you gain from clubs and societies cannot be described in words. It makes you exposed to the present society, right? So when I was handling the Philately club matters, I was able to interact with the government officials with the Philately club, and the way things that normally take place, I got to know how things happen. So with that, just studying, just reading books, or just being engaging in academics only makes your subject matter right, not your social skills. Being a true leader is how you handle things, how you may face challenges and all. So those things cannot be learned through books. Reading books or reading a book on how to face challenges doesn't make you a person who is capable of handling challenges. You need to face that particular situation in order to know how you face it. Yeah. So during those 2 years, during 2021, I was exposed to lot of challenges, and it was also during the pandemic, so everything was done online. During that period, I was kind of like electronically challenged. So during that period only, I got to know how to use these electronic platforms, social media platforms, and in order to engage the society as well as with the club. So during 2022, it was much okay with that situation that persists. So during that year, the experience that I gained in 2021 was much helpful for me to deal with the 2022 year with regard to the Philatelic.
Well, I am certain this advice will be very important to many of us, including myself. With that being said, what is your advice to the current board?
Well, the current board 2024, my personal view is there are challenges in your way, but the challenges that we faced during 2022 because of the global pandemic, the coronavirus, as well as the economic crisis, you all don't have it this year. So you all have the potential to do any kind of project, whether it's an international forum about Philately, you all can do. If you all have the potential, you all can do. So the chairman, the secretary, and the treasurer should make sure that the interaction or the participation of the club members should be taken in a higher note. At the current stage, the topic of Philately is being regarded as a dying hobby, and being one of the first ever clubs to be established in South Asia region with regard to Philately. The Royal College Philately Club can do better with regards to the terms of participation as well as the club involvement, in order to make that the hobby of Philately is not being regarded as a dying hobby. Royal College, being one of the leading education institutions in Sri Lanka or rather South Asia, can take different initiatives in order to ensure or safeguard that the hobby of Philately is not being downgraded or degraded. Because in order to prepare for this interview, I just went through some articles and the current affairs with regard to Philately. So when I searched on the internet, most of the articles are with regard to why the hobby is been dying. So it's with regard to the current era of technology, where
social media.
Yeah, where students are more inclined to use like phones and all social media platforms. And also on the other hand, the mostly the current society has been encouraged to use emails as well as SMS.
Yes.
So the usage of postal stamps has been declined or degraded. So the Philately Club or Royal College has the potential. I know the current board. I am confident in the current board. So they have the potential to do such things, and one of my ideas would be for all to do an international forum on Philately in order to encourage the students to use the wide array of Philately and to get to know, because I have been interacting with in the past year or so with schools around Colombo, and most of the schools don't have don't have a society of Philately regard. So as the Philately Club or Royal College, you all can take the pioneership and the initiative in order to establish philatelic societies all around schools in Colombo as well as Sri Lanka. So yeah.
So, and confidence, this guidance will be invaluable and beneficial not just for us but also the future board members and office bearers. So proceeding to the next question, and with that coming to an end, what is your advice to the viewers?
So my advice to the viewers with regard to the current situation, as I told in the previous answer, at present the hobby of Philately is considered to be a dying hobby by some of the people at present. But in my view, the hobby of Philately is not dying for the people who who love them. Basically the collectors. So day by day, as soon as the stamp is being launched, they have been notified by the distributor and they are in the interest of collecting them. Whether it is a stamp, whether it is a coin, whether it is a stamp that is not in their collection, they go out of way in order to collect it, to have it in their collection. So basically, at present, although the government, the Philately Bureau or any other institution or association take steps in order to make sure that the hobby is not dying, it doesn't have a positive note if the people who are interested or people who wants to collect it doesn't take an interest. So my advice for everyone out there, whether you are a collector of Philately or whether you are not a collector of Philately, you should make sure to make the point that you are interested in the topic of Philately and you make your level best in order to collect stamps as well as other materials with regard to Philately, because in the field of Philately, the story behind each and every stamp goes beyond what it signifies. When it comes to the design of the stamp, it's a very detailed as well as intricate design process, and there are only like specialized designers, many specialized designers, professional designers with regard to stamp, and they take into each and every aspect to ensure that it signifies the value and the commemoration of the stamp. And more importantly, the hobby of Philately is not just what you see it. When you dig deep in it, you will find many astonishing details about it. Day by day, the topic of Philately is being revealed. And so with regard to that, my advice is to the viewers out there, make sure that you dig into the hobby of Philately, and by that you will get knowledge of Philately as well as many astonishing details. It brings to my mind that the former US President Theodore Roosevelt used to collect stamps every day, every single day. On the deathbed, what he cherished throughout his life was not the subject world he was opening. He only got into what I have heard, what I have learned. He only looked through his collection of stamps. So for some, it is a memory, or it is rather happiness that brings to them when stamps are being collected by the interest.
So with that, we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude for taking your time to join us with this episode of Stamp Chronicles. Your insight and experience have been truly enlightening. I would say that once again it was truly enlightening. And we deeply appreciate your willingness to share your knowledge with us, and your presence here has made this episode very valuable. As we conclude this insightful interview, we would like to express our deepest gratitude once again to our esteemed guest, Dharamawardena, for sharing his valuable experience and wisdom with us. Your contribution has provided us with many wealth and knowledge and inspiration. To our audience, thank you for joining us for this episode of Stamp Chronicles 2024. We hope you found this discussion as enlightening as we did. Stay tuned for future episodes where we continue to explore the fascinating world of Philately with more distinguished tastes. Until then, keep collecting and discovering the stories behind every step. Thank you and goodbye. Till we meet again in the next episode of Stamp Chronicles.